Okay, she's muted. I'm gonna mute you, Cynthia. Okay, everybody's muted. Hey there, Tammy. Good to see you. Well, hello, everyone. I want to welcome you to day one of our Ignite Your Purpose Challenge. We're going to spend this week really digging in to our purpose, our passion, and at the end of the week, I would like for us to have put together some visions or re-examine our vision, our mission, set some goals that'll lead us into 2021 and help us to be more effective in getting where we need to be in life. Now, remember that day one is going to cover you have purpose and you have passion. So we are going to look at what is your purpose. Uh, and you may already have a good inkling of where you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to be doing with your life. And you may actually be in the flow of doing that. Or you may be doing part of it and have a desire to be more engaged right where you are. So, what I hope to do, there's no wrong place to be and there's no wrong answer. What I want to do through this week is to help you to figure out what you need to do next. Are you doing enough of what you want to do, of what you want to do? Uh, have you discovered what you want to do? And we'll do some exercises that will help us to go through that. So I want to let me share my screen with you all that are on Zoom. And we will get started. Okay, let's see if we can do it this way. So my name is Michelle Fuqua, for those of you who have not met me yet. And I am a pastor, author, and mentor and coach for women, primarily when it comes to mentoring and coaching, who are looking to elevate their life to the place where God is calling them. I also am a coach to high achieving women who are looking for someone to help them to level up and be even better in the things that they're doing. Now, there's Nikki. Let's admit her. So there's no wrong place for you to be. The right place to be is for you to be at a position where you're questioning and where you're open to where God is trying to take you. And so that is what we're going to really zoom in on during this. We're going to look at where am I supposed to be? Am I in the right place? What areas do I need to tweak in my life? And it's a conversation between you and God, and there's no wrong place, as I've said before. And I'm here just to facilitate the process and to help you to get some clarity and decide where you desire to be. So, with that, uh, we're going to talk about how to determine what your life purpose is. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, when I was growing up, this really wasn't a discussion. Uh, Mostly, our discussion was around what are you going to study in school? And the primary goal was to study something that would allow you to get a job that paid a decent salary so that you could take care of yourself. And that is a very noble gesture, and it is definitely a necessary endeavor. However, sometimes in doing that, you may focus in on gifts and talents that you have that may or may not be where your highest level of passion is. So you could end up working in a fulfilling job that you enjoy the culture and the people, but you still feel a need to do something more. You may find that you have a gift for service, or you have a gift for mentoring or teaching, or whatever you find your calling is, and you may not have an opportunity to use it to the highest level just in that corporate sector, or you may. You may work for a company that allows you to live out all of the components of your value system to the highest level. And that is, and there's a lot of companies that actually do that. And so, let me see, can I page now? Can y'all see that? I don't think it lets me, could y'all see it when I had it in full mode? Like, can you see, you can see that?
Yes.
Okay, because when it won't let me, okay, now it's
yeah, we should put patient mode.
Okay, good. So what's the greatest benefit of determining what your purpose is in life? It will enable you to build your life around what is important to you. Usually you will find that when you hone in on your purpose, it will also align with some values that you've either grown up with or developed over time. And so you begin to be more fulfilled because you're leaning towards and doing more of the things that really give you the greatest sense of fulfillment. Have you ever awakened on any particular day and just really not felt like getting out of bed, or dreaded the thing that you were going to have to do, and you begin to ask yourself, what's wrong with this picture? What do I need to do in order to have that zest and that zeal for life, that zest and that zeal for getting up and going into your job? Sometimes those things can be a clue that maybe you're not serving at your highest level. And sometimes it could be that you're in the career or the profession that you need to be in, but you may not be in the right environment in order to release the fullness of your talents and abilities. So as we talk about purpose, I want to say that we're talking about whole life purpose. A portion of that is your career and your job, and we spend a lot of our life working in our career and our job. Some of us are entrepreneurs, and you'll find that even entrepreneurs spend a lot of time working on their business. It's a it's a it's not true that when you work for yourself that you work less. The people that I know who are serving as entrepreneurs spend a lot of time working. Now they're doing that so that at some point in the future they will be able to work according to their terms. But when they're starting out, they work really hard. So you want to find your purpose so you can be a part of something bigger. You see yourself working, you see yourself going to church if you go to church, you work in your community, and you see some things that are going on in the world, and you want to have some role in bringing those things, those problems, those issues to resolution. And when that happens to you, that's giving you a clue that maybe that's an area where God is leading you to serve. And do you ever feel dissatisfied? I mean, all of us have those feelings, and that's a clue also. Uh, to determine your life, your purpose, uh, it's really not a simple process. It it sometimes is intuitive. Some people actually just fall into it based on the things that they love to do and the direction that their life takes them in. They end up serving just where they're supposed to. I have a cousin who, when he was a little boy, he used to carry around a doctor's kit. When he was a little boy, he always had his doctor's kit. Now he's a grown man. I think he's older than me, and he grew up to be a doctor. So, like me, I remember one of my earliest memories of childhood is teaching a Bible study in the backyard in the neighborhood that I grew up in. And we were just playing, but that was a foreshadowing of what was to come. So if we had the foresight to really tap into those things that we did when we were young that we enjoyed doing, that would really give us an opportunity to see what direction we should go in. And some people actually do that, where other people uh, choose to go in the direction that gives them more money. So the first thing that you have to do is you have to ask yourself, what is your burning desire? What is your why? What do you want to accomplish? Where do you want to go? And then what once you have that, how are you going to get into that place where you can accomplish your why? Uh, for me, my why has changed over the years, and I know you all have probably seen the hierarchy of need, Maslow's hierarchy of need, and I can honestly say that I have seen how that triangle has worked in my life. There was a time when I was completely and totally about surviving and meeting the needs and paying the rent, and that's really the main focus that I was concerned with. But as I was able to work and spend appropriate time on a job, some of that became uh, second to what do I want to, what do I need to do, how am I going to serve? And so hopefully we all get to a point where we're able to look at what we want to leave in the earth when we go on to meet our maker. I'm going to skip through some of this. Now I want to talk about the advantages of knowing your purpose. When you know your purpose, you can evaluate everything that you do in life based on it. It gives you focus and clarity. So if you're called to uh, own a company or be a CEO or be a pastor, then that's going to exclude some other things, and then you'll be able to say, well, how will this endeavor help me to get to where I need to be? And it'll help you to choose not just the activities, but it also will help you to choose what social networks you need to be involved in, how well you need to be able to raise resources and get collaboration and get people engaged on your side. So knowing your purpose helps you to have focus and clarity. It can make life more fun because you're doing more of the thing that you're called to do, that you love to do. And your purpose is usually tied to some degree to your passion, and or the things that you're passionate about become a burden that is part of your purpose. Um, you know, I want to talk about this fear for just a minute. Uh, I've had seasons in life where I've had anxiety and fear. But one thing that has happened over time is that the more that I walk in my ministry and all the different components of it, I started to lose the fear of failure, the fear of other people's opinions, all of the what ifs that we come up with when we're trying to hold back on doing what we're supposed to be doing. I started to let those fall away so that I could focus on my calling, because I realized that if I continue to make excuses, I was going to be in a grave and not have done or used the gifts that I'm gifted with. And the more that you use the gifts that you're gifted with, you will find you will expand. If you sing, the more you sing, the better your voice will get. If you paint, the more you paint, the better your painting will get. I like to think that the more that I speak and do these kind of presentations and preach on Sundays and Bible study on Wednesdays, I hope that my speaking skills are also improving. My writing skills, I hope they're improving. So the more you do the things that you're supposed to do, the better you will, your skill set will grow, and you'll discover skills that you had not used yet that are laying dormant, waiting for the opportunity to come forth. Now, enhancing your passion. So what are you passionate about? One of the things that I'm passionate about is helping. I don't like to see people mistreated. I don't like to see people who have more power mistreat people who have less power. So that's a passion point for mine. Helping the underdog, helping people who are really trying to get their life together to be able to do that. And so I get satisfaction from seeing someone succeed in an area that they were struggling in previously. I get I get a real warm and fuzzy feeling when someone looks back over their life for the last year or so and they can say, I've made progress. So that's my passion. So my passion is people and helping people to achieve what God has called them to do, helping them, even like on the job, helping people to maximize their potential and achieve the career goals that they desire to achieve. I've always been that way, wired that way. Uh, Releasing your passion helps to create a momentum in your life that no one can stop. You become unstoppable. Becoming part of something bigger. Uh, when you think about that, uh, you begin to recognize that your passion and your purpose, while it brings you fulfillment when you're operating in it, your purpose and your passion is not just for you, it is also to serve others. And when you are in alignment with your God-given calling, He is going to put people in your path who need your service, who need you to be standing in the place where you are supposed to be standing. And that's a blessing. And you will see a great fulfillment from that. The sense of certainty. Uh, with that sense of certainty, it's like this year has been so hard. But even in the middle of it, when you are doing the things that you're supposed to do, it takes the edge off of all of the calamity that we've dealt with this year. It gives you a greater sense of certainty. If I die, I'm going to die doing what God called me to do. Now, that's not a mandate to not follow the CDC guidelines for the pandemic. That's not what this is about. What I'm saying is when you're doing what God has called you to do, being in the place where He's called you to be, and living your life the way that you're supposed to live it, that God calling on the inside of all of us. And it really transcends, I am a Christian. And I believe that all of us, regardless of our faith system, have a purpose and a calling on this earth. And so it transcends where you are right now, because your gifts and your talents and your abilities are irrevocable. They're part of your system, they're part of your makeup. So, regardless of where you are in the spectrum, you can utilize all of those gifts and talents and abilities to serve the world. So with that, we're going to transition a little bit and talk about how do you get to that point where you can discover your life purpose. It takes a lot of reflection. It takes a lot of time on your knees, time with your journal, time examining what you've done in the past that you've enjoyed doing, what you like doing, what you want to see changing. And if you all will download the workbook that I emailed to you a few minutes ago, that workbook is for the whole week. That's not for just tonight. That's for the whole week. If you will start working through those worksheets and those questions, the goal for us will be by the end of the week to be able to develop a vision statement for your life that covers your career, if you have some ministry or community endeavor or cause that you want to get involved with at some point in the future, your health, if there's a place where you envision your physical health being, your mental state. So your vision for your life encompasses your whole life. There's not a part of it that you can leave out. So we're going to work on that. And the bottom line is, whatever we come up with, or you will be coming up with it. You don't have to worry about changing it. You can change it as you get more revelation, but it's a place for you to start. It's a place to give you something where, as you go into 2021, you're not just kind of haphazardly going through your year. You're going through it with some strategic directive and with some plans that by the end of the year, you hope to have accomplished certain things. I personally, and I think I've told you all this before, I don't do year long goals because what I find is uh, I'm a procrastinator. I'm just going to be honest with you, and I'll wait until November. So I bought a book. It's called The 12-Week Year, and that book really transformed my life because it gave me a system in which I'm living each quarter as a mini year and accomplishing some portion of what I want to get done that year. And I did that this year, and it has really paid dividends. So if you want to know about that, just you can buy the book, but I can tell you a little bit about what I do with that later on. So finding your purpose. Uh, you don't have to do this right now because we're going to do this when we come off in the Zoom room. But if you're listening on Facebook or YouTube, you want to take some time and come up with 3 ways in which your life will be more satisfying to you if you were to be more focused on living your life in purpose and calling, being strategic. Uh, you want to ask yourself some questions, and some of those questions that you want to answer is, what if you only had 1 year to live, how would you spend your time? What things would you want to get done? Earlier, let me see, when was that? It was last February. I got called back in for a diagnostic test for a routine physical thing that I my mammogram. I'll just be honest with you. I had to go back in, and even though I tried to be positive, I had to work through my mindset to not worry about it for the 2 weeks in between when I went back to the doctor. But what really resonated with me is that in that time frame, I realized that we're here, and I already knew this. So it wasn't like a realization, it was like a reminder, because I think we forget that we don't have forever, and that if there's something that we want to leave in the earth, we need to work on doing it while we still have the health and the mental capacity to do it. And so it just kept spinning through my mind all the things that I believe that are on my list that I'm called to do, that I've, for whatever reason, whatever excuse that I've come up with, not done. And I was disappointed at that point. And that was really my wake up call. And since then, I have been taking really some strategic risks. I've overcome certain fears, and I've been a preacher. I've been a pastor since 2012. And during that time, I still was a pastor in hiding. I stayed kind of in the background, and I had to really do the mindset work to figure out, why was I hiding? What was keeping me from really standing in the fullness of my calling? So I was giving God partial obedience. I was doing what I was called to do, but I wasn't doing it to the highest level that I was capable of or that I was called to. And as I leaned into that and began to um, do that to the utmost, he then began to expand the things and give me more capacity to do the other things on the list. So where do you want to be a year from now? Some people call this the dash exercise. Uh, some people call this a tombstone exercise. What do you want to say on your tombstone? Some people call this the obituary exercise. What do you want your friends and families family to say about you when they stand up to testify of you at your funeral. And I know a lot of us don't even like to think about our funeral, but that's a good place to start. It's seeing the end from the beginning. So one day I'm going to go home to meet my maker. What do I want to do before that happens? And write those things down. Don't judge, don't question, don't tear down. Just ask yourself, what do you want to accomplish? Um, Same question, how do you want to be remembered? I already said all this, y'all. I'm doing good. Now here's the key. Live that life. Live the life that you want to be remembered for. Do the things that you want to do and have no regrets. Die empty of all your gifts and talents and abilities. Your purpose, you may start at one point where you think you know what your purpose is and what you're able to accomplish, but that will grow as your capacity for understanding how capable you are. We hold ourselves back. We dream small when we should be dreaming bigger, and that's a construct of our limiting beliefs and our self-doubt and our fear and worrying about what other people are going to say about us. All of that has a part in how we ratchet back on doing what we're supposed to do. Another question to ask yourself, what did you love doing as a child? What things did you do then that you no longer do? What's your stress? What's your capacity for handling stress? What can you handle? You know, I've worked in a field where we deal with a lot of emergency work, and in that setting, I find that it really pulls out that whole I guess fireman mode, that want to save the world mode, that is part of my makeup, and I get great fulfillment from the work that I do because I feel like I'm doing something to help people to get their lives back together. Now, what makes you lose track of time? You're so enjoying it that you lose track of time. Many of you who know me, you know I can read for weeks upon end and not leave a spot. I can give me a pen and I can sit in a corner and just have a good time by myself. But what things can you do that you really enjoy, and how does it align with what you want to do with your life? Now, some people are extroverts, some people are introverts, and you'll find both working in the same purposes. But then by the same token, you need to take into consideration what your tolerance level is for different types of engagements and activities based on your personality. I'm going to skip all this. You want to make a list. Now that's a question right there that we need to consider. What would you do if you weren't afraid of doing it? What would you do if money was no object? What would you do if your obligations were not an object? What would you do if fear of failure wasn't an object? Fear of other people's ridicule wasn't an object? What things would you be doing? Those are the things I want you to work on. And how could you best serve the world? And so those are some of the questions that you want to be asking yourself as you examine where you are. You want to do an assessment of where you are. What are you giving now that satisfies you? And what service are you rendering to the world that satisfies you and to your family and to yourself? And then from there, where do you want to be a year from now? What do you need in your life in order to be content, to feel fulfilled, to feel satisfied? And how are you going to make it come to pass? How are you going to bring it into your world? Those are some of the questions that you need to ask yourself. The sooner you can start thinking this way in your life, the better off you will be. If you can start planning your life in large chunks, like right now, uh, I'm already looking at the end of 21. And some would say, how dare you, because tomorrow isn't promised to you. Well, I do it because in the Bible, in Isaiah, I told you I was a Christian. One of the things that God says for Isaiah to tell the children of Israel is that they should marry and they should build houses and they should make plans for the future and they should plant, because he is going to bring them to their expected end. I can't live my life in fear of my death. I have to keep pressing and keep working and keep planning. And if the day of my death comes, then I am going to be in action at that point. I am going to be in purpose doing what I am supposed to do. So go ahead and plan your life out. If you have the taste for it, plan it out for 5 years and see what happens. See what you have inside of you that you want to give. So I'm going to, let me see how many, lots of questions. That's it. And so that's a good place for me to stop the share. I'm going to stop that and I'm going to come here. Now, if you're watching us live, I'm ending the live share now, and we're going to go into our private workshop. You can still register. The link is on my business page and also in the Purpose and Power group if you want to be a part of this. Tomorrow, we'll be back on tomorrow at 6:30. Now, these are supposed to be 20-minute teachings, but everyone who knows me knows that I never finish in 20 minutes or whatever time I set. So if you want the workbook, just send me a message and we'll get you the workbook as well. So thank you, and you have a good day.